Hi, my name is Nikolas-Losada, and today we're back with another automotive video for you guys to watch. So today we're going to be looking at the history of, instead of the M3, today we're actually going to be looking at the history of the M5. So the M5 actually has a couple more generations than the M3. The M5 starts actually in 1985 with the E28 M5. In 1988, you're going to have the E34 M5. In 1998, you're going to have the E39 M5. And then in 2005, you're going to have the M5 E60. Once you get into 2011, you're going to see the F10 and the F90 M5, which are two completely whole new generations for the M5. We'll be focusing on the E generations of M5 though in this video, the similar way to how we did the M3 video. So starting with the E28 M5, released in 1985, before that there was only the M535i, which was considered the benchmark for the business class sedan with power and luxury. However, when the M5 was launched, it was a new era for the beginning of all business class sedans from Mercedes, Audi, Cadillac, and so on. The M5 was the start of a four-door business sedan for luxury that also at the same time was quite a sports car. Now, the engine on the E28 M5 came from a inline six that produced 286 horsepower and 340 Newton meters of torque. Now, this propelled the car to 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds. A little fun fact is that the inline six that was in this M5 was actually originally developed for the BMW M1. After the E28 was the 1988 E34 M5. Now, the E34 M5 was once again powered by an inline six-cylinder similar to the first generation M5, but this time it produced 315 horsepower, and later on with the competition model, 340 horsepower. This was a lot for the car considering it was still a derivative of the first generation M5 and was not a very heavy car compared to the modern M5s of today. The inline six now also had up to 400 Newton meters of torque and went to 0 to 60 in 6.3 to 5.9 seconds. After that was the beginning of the E39 M5. Now, the E39 M5 set the benchmark for what modern M5s would be like, as it was the first time a V8 was offered in the M5. The V8 in this M5 produced 400 horsepower and 500 Newton meters of torque, which got it to 60 in 5.3 seconds. This engine in the V8 was very popular and was the kind of base of a lot of different BMW V8s over time, and was a reliable engine and still featured the great BMW automatic and manual transmissions that they offered. The E60 M5, after the E39, was the next generation in the final series of the E generations of M5, as it had a V10 that would rev up to 8,250 RPM. A revolutionary number, and it produced a great sounding car, arguably one of the best sounding M5s to ever come from BMW. The max output horsepower for this car was up to 507 horsepower and 520 Newton meters of torque, which is still a very large number for a sports car today. You don't see BMWs like the M2 having 500 horsepower, even though they're a brand new car. This new vast increase in horsepower and torque propelled the E60 M5 to only 0 to 60 in 4.7 seconds. So even though it has a lot of horsepower, even compared to some modern BMWs, it's still just not as fast. This was also the first generation to debut with the SMG automatic transmission, which is notorious for just not being a great transmission and braking, and not really being great for sports, for luxury, for comfort, just not really for anything, and that would be why it was discontinued later on. But unfortunately, in one of the best M5s and engines, it's paired with a not very good transmission. After that was the debut of the F10 M5, which had 560 horsepower and 680 Newton meters of torque, which is a vast increase from 520. This time it has a twin scroll V8 that produces that power and propels the car to 60 in 4.2 to 4.3 seconds. Still not as fast as today's M5s, clearly, and not as fast as a lot of other competitors in the modern era. Still a very fast car for its time. For example, I mean, BMW M2 now will easily beat that and get 3.5 seconds, but an M5 of only 10 years ago just can't keep up. The twin-scroll V8 was also important because it was the start of BMW beginning to turbocharge their engines and kind of stray away from the naturally aspirated history that it was used to. Final and current generation of the M5 would be the F90 M5, which features a twin turbocharged V8, which produces 630 horsepower and 750 newton meters of torque. This M5, being the current generation, has the fastest 0 to 60 time of up to 3.3 seconds, which is just breathtaking. And from that twin turbo V8, it just sounds great. It also pushes the boundaries of technology, having lots of new tech and safety features that keep the passengers comfortable and safe for the ride. The BMW M5 is one of BMW's most famous sports cars that they've ever produced, next to the M3 and not really anything else. The M3 and the M5 are BMW's true history. It goes back all the way to the 1980s. And I'm curious to see how BMW takes the new M5, as we've seen the release of the new 5 Series, which is electric, which has questionable design, but the performance is there. But to see how BMW utilizes that chassis and makes that into an M will be interesting to see, and I'm looking forward to that, and I believe you are too. Thank you for watching. If you had any questions or comments, make sure to leave a comment down below and subscribe if you enjoyed the video to see more upcoming content in the future. Thank you.